USA Ultimate is proud to present the 2016 US Open Ultimate Championship. July 4th, Monday here in Kingston, Rhode Island, and in the men's final at Chicago Machine and Seattle Sockeye, two teams that had signature wins in the semis to arrive at this stage. Sockeye blew an 11-7 lead, but held on Universe to take down the defending national champs. Ironside took a 2-0 lead on back-to-back breaks at the start. Machine dominating down the stretch to get to their first US Open final. And hi again, everybody. Evan Lepler with Ian Toner. This is game number 7 of our ESPN coverage this weekend in Rhode Island. And for both Seattle and Chicago, two teams looking to make statements this early in the season.
Chicago bringing a very small roster to this tournament, defying expectations, knocking off the hometown squad. Seattle exercising some demons and finally getting that win over Revolver that they've been grinding for years.
Yeah, it is early in the season, and this tournament may not mean the world, but it certainly is a step in the right direction. And for a program like Machine, they went to their first ever semifinals at Nationals last year. To get a win in this game, to beat Boston and Seattle on back-to-back days, that would be a special foundation for them to build on.
Definitely inspiring a lot of confidence for them for the rest of this season, validating the investment that they've put to build their program. And a lot of that success has actually come on the back of recent addition Brett Matsuka. He's made his way around the men's division, but found a home playing with this Machine squad. The craftiest thrower in the game. He's got every release point you can imagine. And then ones you haven't even thought of, a nightmare for anyone trying to set a steady mark against him.
Matsuka had to reschedule his flight to still be here for the championship game. Seattle Sockeye, they're no stranger to championships, but they've often been second to Revolver. They got past San Francisco yesterday. Roger Crafts leads his team into this matchup with Chicago. And the Seattle small ball ethos may be a thing of the past. That's good news when you have a guy like Matt Rader. And with Montague throwing to him deep, that might have been the difference yesterday.
I think Simon Montague adds a new dimension to this Sockeye handling core, taking nothing away from the existing handlers that already contribute on their squad. But Matt Rader is arguably the second best deep threat in the game behind Bo Kittredge. He's got length, he's got speed, he has hops. He's the biggest matchup nightmare outside of Bo Kittredge in the men's division.
It'll be interesting to see who Machine throws at Rader. Machine has a couple deep cutters in Goose Helton and AJ Nelson. Jesse Bucksbaum too, that Seattle will have to contain. It's Machine, it's Sockeye. A championship on the line next. The 2016 U.S. Open Ultimate Championships are presented by Discraft Ultrastar, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Discraft Ultrastar is now available at over 1,900 U.S. retail locations, including all Dick's Sporting Goods and Hibbett Sports stores. By Discover Newport. Choose your own adventure in Newport, Rhode Island. Get the inside scoop on where to stay and where to play at discovernewport.org. And by USA Ultimate, the national governing body for the sport of Ultimate in the United States. For more information or to find out where to play Ultimate in your area, visit usaultimate.org. Chicago Machine with Goose Helton, Ben Spielman, Trent Kuhl, A.J. Nelson in the cutting core. Bob Lou, Brett Matsuka, and the former Colorado Mama Bird star Pavel Janis for head coach Andy Nielsen. Machine missing a bunch of pieces, but they still have plenty of talent. You could say the same for Seattle Sockeye with Murray, Rader, Rankin, and Caldwell, the ageless veteran downfield. O'Brien and Montague and Lim in the handling core. Justin Lim yesterday had the best game we've seen from him on the big stage. Statistically, he scored a lot of goals. They weren't all easy catches to make.
He's really coming into his own and fitting well into the Sockeye offense. He was a favorite red zone target of Phil Murray in that matchup against Revolver.
Still beautiful here on Independence Day in the Granite State. Very few clouds in the otherwise sunny skies. And Chicago won the toss, choosing to receive. So the Machine O-line will be out there at the outset. Cullen Geppert, a name we didn't have in the graphic, but an important piece to the Chicago offensive line as well. What do you expect here, Ian? Do you have a hunch?
I'm going to take Sockeye to win this one. I think many others might as well. I think it's going to be very challenging for a creative thrower like Brett Matsuka to get as many impressive break throws off in these stiffer wind conditions, especially in comparison to the calm conditions of last night's semifinal against Ironside.
Jonathan Helton picked up by Matt Russell. You think about who plays in the wind more often. One of these cities is nicknamed after the breeze, the other is not. Pavel Janis looking to the end zone, and there's Geppert for the score. Clockwork offense on the opening point for Machine.
Nice job by Machine, moving the disc up the field, using the force side the entire way. As Janis throws one pump fake, waits for Geppert to get just a bit of separation, and Janis with a nice blading backhand into the end zone.
I have been amazed by Chicago's ability to play with a seriousness and focus on the field. And then when Geppert catches that disc, it's like they snap out of being serious and the goofiness returns. Most of Machine players have been imitating the arm movements of the old wrestling duo, the Bushwhackers, for most of the weekend here in Rhode Island.
I've also seen a few renditions of the Dirty Bird from the Atlanta Falcons and Jamal Anderson as well.
There's A.J. Nelson, dynamic deep cutter out of Northwestern. And Travis Carpenter was a star at the D3 level at Indiana Wesleyan. A big pull handled by O'Brien, centered to Montague. First touch for Zane Rankin. One thing that was impressive about Seattle for much of the game yesterday was how their offense was in sync, although there, Rankin was cutting off his deep look and beginning to come underneath when Rader shot it long. Rankin could not recover. First turnover of the game out of the hands of Rader. Chicago's D-line is what got them back into the game yesterday. The efforts of Walden Nelson, Vaughn, Alan Gilon, Travis Carpenter, Kevin Kelly. Here's Carpenter, and he's looking long. Jack Shea in pursuit. Phil Murray nearby. Shea leaps and scores. A booming start for Chicago Machine.
Travis Carpenter getting the disc at the front of the stack, almost kind of in a power position as he rounds the corner after making that grab. Jack Shea knows Phil Murray's on his back, goes up at the high point, snagging the disc before Phil Murray can even make a play on it. Great instincts and execution by Shea to reel in that grab, and the first break of the game, 2-0 for Machine.
And as soon as he stopped rotation, the seriousness was over and the celebration began.
You know,
Chicago Machine 4-1 in pool play. That only loss coming to Seattle Sockeye. It was an 8-7 game at the half. It was tied at 9s in the second half. Sockeye won 15-10. Obviously closing very strong. The 14-8 win over Madison Club got Chicago into the semifinals. If Madison had won that game, it would have been Madison in the semis against Revolver yesterday, and Sockeye would have played Ironside. It switched all the matchups around because Madison, if they had won the game, would have won the pool, because Madison got a win against Sockeye early in the day on Friday.
Excited to see what this Madison Club team can do later in the season. They had, you know, a fair amount of success on the first day of the tournament, especially even with a small roster. A number of their top players like Dave Wiseman, Peter Graffi, Kevin Brown, all either unable to attend or out due to injury.
Rader on the under, wraps a backhand to Donnie Clark for the goal.
Beautiful throw from Rader. He's now 1 for 2 on deep shots so far this game. A much easier, perhaps mostly downwind shot. As this backhand bends around the mark, finds Donnie Clark in the front corner of the end zone.
Donnie Clark in his 4th year now on Sockeye out of the University of Washington. And Rader was a track and field athlete at University of Laverne in California. Continued to play Elite Club Ultimate with Seattle Sockeye all throughout his college track and field career. Rader in year 9 on Sockeye. Among the players here this weekend, he is the longest tenured member of the team aside from Mike Caldwell.
Hard to believe because he's still so young, but has had such a long playing career.
20 seconds.
Excited to see what's in store for him over the coming seasons.
Giannis, Matsuka, and Lou are the handlers. Geppert, Nelson, Helton, and Bucksbaum the cutters. This should stay with Goose. A pick involving Helton and Bucksbaum's defenders. I beg your pardon. Geppert and Bucksbaum's defenders. Bucksbaum taken off. Helton gives him a chance. He's got it. It has been way too easy for Chicago so far. No turnovers in their 3-1 start.
Well, I think we're seeing these deep shots from left to right being much easier to hit and execute, perhaps going slightly downwind in comparison to those deep shots going from right to left on our camera.
I was chatting with Jonathan Goose Helton yesterday about learning how to play with his new teammates, and he said the first 2 days of the tournament he probably threw to Bucksbaum twice, and just they don't really have a sense of where the other one is going yet. Clearly that chemistry is gradually building. How long does it take between teammates that haven't played together before to get comfortable? I know there's certain levels of the pyramid of comfort that you can achieve.
Right. I wish there was a firm answer. I think a partial answer is that's one of the benefits of bringing a small roster.
That's true.
To a major tournament and having to battle through and still finding a way to achieve success. You get to work with and utilize different combinations of players that might not compete together or take the field together in a different setting.
Seattle back on offense. Only one turnover in the game's first 4 points, and it was the Raider puck that went incomplete. Laser beam from Murray to Raider. It's funny, when Raider gets the disc now in the middle of the field, his body language and movement so much different from what it was a few years ago. He has really transformed himself into an all-field thrower. This is Simon Montague, product of Carleton College, always been considered one of the top throwers in the land. Great bid from Caldwell. Justin Lim just got an inch, and Murray hit him with a lefty backhand. 3-2.
A lot of mini and Goaltimate-esque throws in this red zone possession for Sockeye as Caldwell makes another big play on the goal line here. We saw him get a crucial late game goal line layout block in the semifinal against Revolver.
Revolver was looking to retake the lead for the first time since 1-0. It would have been 13-12 Revolver, but Caldwell got the D on a George Stubbs flip to the end zone from short range. Sockeye went on to win 16-15. It's funny, the second half of that Sockeye Revolver game yesterday was pretty darn sloppy. There were a lot of mistakes from both teams. It's way too simple to say if Stubbs doesn't make that mistake and if Caldwell doesn't come up with that D, it changes the game, because there's a dozen plays you can go back to that really change that game back and forth.
Absolutely, and I think ultimately we saw that volume of turnovers and mistakes, if you'd like to characterize them in that manner, because this is such an early season tournament. Teams still trying to work out the kinks as Seattle intentionally rolls this pull out the sideline to perhaps set up some type of a trap zone or at least pin Machine on this sideline.
Now it changes the pace for the Machine offense, which has been cruising so far. Matsuka hits Helton underneath.
Helton being marked by Trent Dillon coming out of this transition zone. The two of them were teammates in London a week ago.
Oh, some of the Seattle defenders stopped downfield, but it looked like Helton just called contact. Dillon, who was the mark, reacting like there was no stoppage of play. Dengler's signaling goal.
There was an argument. Yeah, there was an argument. There was discussion.
He said something.
I said,
Yeah. And I was like,
and a play clearly stopped because of a discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When play stops because of
like
language.
foul, and then he said contact, so there was confusion.
Yeah.
So I think there was confusion whether Trent Dillon had called, excuse me, Jonathan Helton had called contact or a foul, but it's going to be checked back in.
On a game where language stops play instead of whistles, sometimes you have those miscommunications there. It's like when you're playing with a guy named Nick and he's downfield. A.J. Nelson gets the goal, though. Spielman picks up the assist.
That transition zone not working quite as effectively as Sockeye may have liked. Matsuka able to get the disc off the sideline to Goose Helton on its first throw. And simple four-side offense from there. Good pressure but Nelson able to sustain, catch the throw from Spielman into the end zone.
So the same result for Chicago as Nelson scores the goal. A.J. Nelson works as an engineer in Chicago. Originally grew up in Massachusetts, and there's Spielman, who's really played well. Just a young kid, 20 years old, currently at Northwestern from Maryland. He's earned a lot of confidence from his teammates this weekend.
I think he's risen to the occasion. And it's interesting because thinking back to some of the games we were watching earlier in the weekend, I know when Machine was competing against Madison Club, there was a zone offense point for the Machine offense where Spielman wasn't necessarily looking back at the thrower, who was Matsuka, and Matsuka was quite frustrated. And he voiced his frustration in the middle of the play. And I think those are the types of lessons that younger players learn. Hey, when a crafty thrower has the disc, I always want to be turning my hips and my head so that I'm facing him and can be reacting to his fakes, even if I don't think I'm open at the moment.
And how the veteran communicates with that young player in the intense moment. Now, depending on the personality of the player, it can cause that player to grow. It can cause that player to fall back a bit in his development. Can shift his enthusiasm either positively or negatively toward the sport in general. I don't think he was in, and he realized he wasn't either. Montague a chance for another assist. Needs a reset and throws it away. Suffocating handler defense from Andrew Sheehan.
Fantastic block from Sheehan. He's been a determined handler defender for Machine for several years now.
That was just the second turnover for Sockeye, but Machine has not thrown an incomplete pass yet. Notable names not with Machine this weekend. The offensive side of the disc, the veteran Ron Kubalanza, Brett Kolinek, also Evan Evangelides, a rookie in Chicago, but Evangelides, former O-line stalwart with San Francisco Revolver. Phelps thought about the deep shot, takes the sure thing, and Kelly lets it rip. Hanging in the air, tipped and intercepted. First turn for Machine. See how tough that huck is to throw precisely upwind. Limb wide open on the under. Pardo sets the mark. Montague a little flick forward. Crossfield hammer, hanging in the air and knocked away. Kevin Kelly makes amend for his throwaway.
A greedy crossfield hammer. I'm sure Russell looked open at the point of release, but in this wind, hard to tell just how long anything is going to hang up in the air, and Kevin Kelly closing the ground and making the play.
A lot of space downfield with which to work. Everybody within 20 yards of the disc right now for Chicago. And there's Murray just ripping that away, and Justin Lim breaks free. It is amazing how Justin Lim gets so wide open in the end zone.
Well, I think before that turnover, Andrew Sheehan was kind of stranded. There were a number of players not really making decisive cuts, as you see him trying to work the options back and forth from the break to the fore side, and Phil Murray with just a simple run through D past Yi-Ding Hao.
Murray with the D and the assist. Caldwell with the D on the point as well for Seattle. 2 turnovers aside on the 7th point of the game, and it's 4-3. Seattle pulling, trailing by 1.
30.
So with Machine's first 2 turnovers on the game, that last point, they are now 1 for 3 on break chances. Still hanging on to a 4-3 lead and on the verge of receiving another pull.
Seattle Sockeye lost its first game of the tournament and has won 5 straight since, including a win over Machine,
20 seconds.
and then the impressive victory over Revolver in the first men's semifinal yesterday.
10 to pull.
Where do you think Revolver's primary takeaways were from their loss to Sockeye in the semis?
I think they know that their late game mistakes were mostly execution errors.
Stalk count rising, Giannis launching, Helton is there. And Helton can't come up with it. Surrounded by white shirts.
Thinking back to Revolver's loss to Sockeye yesterday, I think they would be the first to tell you that some of their late game mistakes were execution errors, you know, stone cold drops on in cuts, having the opportunity to secure blocks and macking them instead of catching them. I think their offense needs to find a way to be more comfortable without the likes of a Bo Kittredge, but we see this backhand from Reed Koss go into the turf.
Matsuka picks up quickly to the open side, tumbling Cullen Geppert.
Oh,
and they've ruled Nelson in.
So Koss trying to throw through traffic and fight the upwind conditions. Can't quite keep it up to get into the arms of Hussein Carnegie. Cullen Geppert going to the ground to save possession. And I guess AJ Nelson able to keep that back foot in the end zone.
It was close
as he stopped rotation.
It was a good call.
Very close to the receiver ending up straddling the goal line, but it was clear that that left foot was down as Nelson stopped rotation.
Couple goals for Nelson. Goal and an assist so far for Geppert. A combination of beating sun and whistling wind here in Rhode Island. Not too far from the coast. Nowhere in Rhode Island is too far from the coast. The nation's smallest state, still with plenty of character.
Had a chance to enjoy a Newport sunset over the weekend with a number of fireworks shows taking place simultaneously on the water. A great place to spend 4th of July weekend.
Yesterday here at the stadium, we were entertained by the popular Rhode Island band, the Natics. Lim to the end zone. And Seattle showing its offensive chemistry. Zane Rankin with his first goal of the day.
Justin Lim once again proving very effective in the red zone. A crafty high release flick from Simon Montague. You'll see all kinds of interesting release points from him, and Lim just finishing the job into the end zone for Rankin. Great to see this much chemistry from this Sockeye offensive unit. As you were noting earlier, Evan, because in speaking with Roger Crafts, Sockey's coach before this game, given a number of personal travel challenges, a number of players traveling for World Championship competition, Sockeye hasn't had a single practice yet this year with more than 12 players present.
It's hard to have a 7-on-7 scrimmage with 12 players.
Impossible, you might say.
Well, Justin Lim has played on Sockeye several years now. Sometimes it's hard to understand what's going on down on the sideline, and it's better just to enjoy it rather than try to really decipher it. Dangerous throw. Geppert, though, able to make the catch. Launches deep, 50-50. Russell, Carnegie, and Helton. And it's Helton in the end zone. Goose Helton scores for Machine.
When Cullen Geppert put this disc up, I don't think he imagined that it would bend that far back. But Jonathan Helton with the expert read, the expert body positioning, great focus. Perhaps a SportsCenter top 10 nominee with that grab.
I thought this was Carnegie's disc as he was lining it up. This is just the type of defensive play he's made for years. And he went up highest, but he didn't read it best.
Was it safe to say that he kind of whiffed?
Let's see it again. It looked like he was right there. He's an intense competitor, but he usually has a smile on his face, especially after he scores.
Rowdy Birds! Rowdy Birds! Rowdy Birds! Travis Carpenter on the pole for Machine.
I can't wait for Goose Helton to watch this back in like 10 years and see what he was yelling on the sideline in the year 2026 when he's looking back on this.
I hope he'll be proud of it.
Goose is 32. It was so important to him this cycle, Team USA, because he realized that he might not have another chance inching into his mid-30s to represent the country. Deep shot from O'Brien, smacked down by Kelly, his second D, and then Carpenter didn't sense the mark of Rankin. So the teams trade very quick turnovers.
Carpenter and Rankin were teammates on the 2015 under-23 men's team that won a gold medal in London last summer.
Oh, nice job. Montague to Rader and then quickly to Murray. Bit of a missed opportunity there for Machine after O'Brien made the error. Carpenter responded with a similar miscue.
Credit to Rankin for getting back into the play so quickly. And that's such a dangerous throw from Montague. He's so lanky, his release points are so varied. Sheehan thinks he's in a pretty good position to take away any of those inside shots, but Montague's frame helping him release it out wide and sneak it past Sheehan's mark.
Raider deserves a lot of credit, as do all the Team USA players that competed in London. You know, a lot of USA players, I think understandably, I'm not faulting Danny Karlinski or Cassidy Rasmussen or anyone else who played in London for taking this weekend off to recuperate. The Raiders, a captain of the Seattle Sockeye team, his second year as a captain, embracing that role of leadership with his presence both on and off the field. Sockey's defensive line still looking for its first break. Chicago's had a couple fortunate 50-50s. This offense has been fun to watch, led by Giannis and Matsuka. Geppert, another initiation cut. Back to Lou, who turns it over.
You saw Bob Lou throw that disc with his left hand. He's been battling an injury to his right wrist sustained while weightlifting, impacting his play on the field there, because perhaps normally he might throw his native right-handed flick. Bob Lou, also the brother of Megan Lou, who recently won a 2015 national championship with Brute Squad, but now competes in the Bay Area with San Francisco Fury.
You could hear the phrase "burn it" being yelled from the sidelines there. The Sockeye leadership calling for a timeout, realizing this is an opportunity. The defense has the disc.
Hey, that's 7. Who are we missing? Who are we missing? We need to stay composed. Listen, we need to stay composed and structured, okay? Just because it's windy doesn't mean we can't make our throws we can throw, okay? But the downfield guys are starting too deep. They're still drifting too deep. You have to adjust when the disc goes backwards. You have to move in and set your next cut up. Handlers will take care of it until then, and then you're off. Chisel.
Hey, if we put something up and it floats, it's gonna die to the home side. Someone run there.
Official 2, 1, 2, finish.
Good insight there from Reed Koss. More often than not, players trying to join the play late will just kind of run to the pile or run to where the disc is floating at the moment. But if there's a hanging deep shot, being aware of where that disc is going to carry as determined by the wind conditions can give a receiver an advantage.
Out of the timeout, Lynn, marked by Matsuka. Harkness back to Lynn. Now with Lou on the mark. Rankin threw it too hard, and Lynn could not collect. Matsuka for Helton and the Chicago hold.
Matsuka with a quick shot to the end zone for Jonathan Helton. And the machine score.
Second straight goal for Goose.
Got to be frustrating for Sockeye, expending effort to plan their moves down the field after that timeout. And unfortunately, Rankin hitting Duncan Lynn too fiercely in the chest, unable to hang on to that one, and then just an easy shot into the end zone from Matsuka to Helton. Not sure the defense had any chance to set up there after that turnover.
Jonathan Helton, part of the Eric team that went to the Philippines, the Manila Spirits. I beg your pardon. He was overseas, not with Team Eric, but listen in here.
We have one to use on the turn if we get it too. All right, let's be smart. Let's punch it in.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Guys.
Everybody's got a spot. Everybody has something to do. Everybody has work to do. Let's go. Let's go, boys.
Red on 2. 1, 2, red!
While traveling overseas, though, he suffered it through an illness. He's still not sure whether it was a virus or some sort of food poisoning. He was under the weather for a couple of weeks. He said he lost 10, 15 pounds, and he was really in the best shape of his life heading into the USA training camp in January. That took him from about 100% to about 80%. He had to build himself back up heading into WUGC. this past June.
I'd say Goose at 80% is still a pretty good bet compared to a lot of the competition he's going to face in the men's division.
So Chicago looking to break to take half. It's pretty incredible yesterday when Machine took half on that layout from Vaughn Alan-Gilon after trailing 2-0 and 5-2. Machine took half on Ironside, 8-7 on arguably the best play that Machine has had this weekend, that incredible full extension layout from Vaughn Alan-Gilon. Back from an injury in 2015 to make a huge difference defensively. Matsuka on the mark of Montague. Raider chased by Helton. Murray dropped the reset. Seventh turnover in the half for Sockeye.
Matsuka rushing to that disc to pick it up. He's really committed to quick pace on the turnover.
The swing caught by Kelly to the end zone. Matsuka sandwiched between Carnegie and Montague. How will this be resolved?
Touching the disc when I got hit.
No, are you saying that I tried to just knock it back?
Well, like,
Yeah,
definitely
okay, so
here.
I acknowledge I hit you. I thought I hit you after you already had doinked it. I thought time was up.
I
Hey, guys.
the disc when
You gonna play as contested or come to me for ruling?
Let's go to you.
All right. So we're ruling. It's not a foul. Clear D from this player right here. It was away before contact. All right. When you're ready, Red.
Let's go defense.
Red, when you're ready for a check. You ready? 20 seconds, guys.
So I think Simon Montague might have touched the disc first, and then the contact that Matsuka sustained from Lim after the disc was knocked out of bounds wasn't enough to uphold a foul call, as this shot to the end zone.
Rankin was so close. What's interesting there, Ian, about that last play, as we look at Rankin here, did he possibly jump a little too early? It's hard to be too critical when he's run 40 yards at a full sprint. On that last play, though, whether Montague got the D or not, it looked like the disc was out of Matsuka's grasp, off his hand, when he got drilled by Lim from the side. And try to tell me it's a non-contact sport.
I won't buy that argument.
Yeah. Everybody, hold up. They're still figuring out. Everybody good?
Nelson resets to Alan-Gilon. Now Matsuka. And a pick downfield.
Hey, Shane, he loves the up line, Shane. He loves the up line.
Yeah. Anytime you're ready, gentlemen.
Defense ready?
Sneaking that over Montague's mark defensively on the reset. Over the top. What a shot from Goose Eldon. Second straight day, Alan-Gilon scores to take half. And Chicago Machine 7 points away from an unlikely championship here in Rhode Island.
I think, again, we're just seeing this Machine team play with a looseness that not many other competitors in the men's division are displaying.
I agree with you.
And a great finish there from Jonathan Helton after having an effective, but perhaps by his standards, relatively quiet semifinal against Ironside. He's been all over the score sheet here in the first half. A wonderful upwind hammer to Alan Guilan to send Chicago into the halftime break with an 8-5 lead.
Helton's been involved in 3 straight scores for Chicago, 2 on offense, and that time on the defensive side of the disc for the break. We've got Chicago head coach Andy Nielsen down on the field.
How's it going,
you look like you're dodging the sun nicely, Andy.
Thank you.
The first half for you guys, pretty strong performance overall, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think we're looking great. We're really trying to keep our stacks shallow so that we can create options with our legs both deep and going away. And I think we're having success. The wind's not bothering us as much as it could be right now, and we're playing well.
You guys are playing with a looseness and a spirit and a goofiness. You're serious when the point is being played, but every time other than that, you guys are going nuts. Who's the inspiration for these arm movements and everything else that's being shouted from the sidelines?
One of our huge goals for this weekend was to spend a lot of time together. It's an early season tournament, and we really wanted to come together as a team. So we have spent as much time together as possible on the beach, in restaurants, at the dorms, just hanging out. And when you get a group of guys like this, a lot of weird stuff comes out of that time together. So we're just having a lot of fun together, learning to play together.
Andy, back to the X's and O's for 1 second. What are you telling your D-line offense before they go out on the field and take on these challenging conditions?
What we really need to do is keep this stack shallow so that we can throw over it. You can see, what qualifies as a huck in this game is like that 27-yarder that Matsuka put over Mike Caldwell to AJ, and that's a great throw. And if we can do 2 of those, then we have got a good chance at scoring. So we're just trying to stack shallow because they are fronting us so hard. So just trying to create that space open over the stack.
Is there one particular leader of the goofiness who has been the primary inspiration?
I don't know. I think you see that shark flying around over there. I think he's responsible.
AJ Shark?
Yeah.
Well, there's Michael Pardo holding the shark right now. AJ was dancing with a shark last night. Andy, appreciate your time. Good luck in the second half.
Thanks, Evan.
Andy Nielsen, the head coach of Chicago Machine. Well, we're close to the beach, and Seattle Sockeye senses the blood in the water, perhaps. Chicago Machine with a 3-score lead at the half. Bit of a blustery Independence Day here in Kingston, Rhode Island. At the half of the men's championship game, it's Chicago Machine 8 and Seattle Sockeye 5. Machine got off to a good start. It was 2-0 early, and then they broke to close out the half as well. Ian Toner, what'd you see?
Machine just being a bit more patient and a bit more effective in these challenging conditions. As we heard from Coach Andy Nielsen, this Machine offense doing a great job of keeping their stack very shallow to give their throwers and their cutters more space in the deep lanes. And that leaves room for plays like that from Jack Shea.
It's a tremendous grab from Shea. That made it 2-0 on the huck from Carpenter. Donnie Clark got Sockeye on the board as Rader found him with a backhand deep. Later, Helton to Bucksbaum. Really strong first half overall for Jonathan Helton.
Again, I don't think that we could say he played poorly against Ironside. Perhaps just didn't have quite as much of an impact on that game as he would like, but he's really making an impact on this game with a number of assists and goals. A great outlet for his offensive unit.
You know, when Sockeye scored, they've made it look easy. We haven't seen too many spectacular plays from Sockeye. On the other side, Helton skying a couple Seattle deep defenders and a couple careless mistakes from Seattle that Brett Matsuka and Machine have been able to capitalize on.
And again, this is just another example of Jonathan Helton leaving a bigger mark on this game. That's a really challenging throw, an upwind hammer with the halftime on the line. Great execution on his part.
In the first half, Chicago had 8 goals, 6 turnovers. Seattle had 5 goals and 8 turnovers. Machine by 3 at the break. Seattle Sockeye trailing Chicago Machine by 3. Second half on the way, but first let's chat with Seattle Sockeyes Julian Hausman. How do you feel you guys have handled these conditions in the first half, Julian?
You know, I think we're feeling pretty good about it. I think we could be attacking the deep space more. That's something we talked about at halftime. And, you know, I think we're ready to go out and give 100% in the next half.
Julian, any matchups in particular giving you guys trouble on the Machine side?
100% Goose. You know, he's doing a good job out there making plays, and, you know, we got to do a better job to lock him up.
I know it's early in the season. It takes a while to figure out how personalities of certain teams are unique, but what do you think will be the personality of 2016 Sockeye relative to past years?
I think it's going to be 100% positivity. That's our style, and that's what we're going to bring, 100%.
Was it not 100% last year?
You know, I think that was about 99.9, but we can always bring it up to 100.
Interesting. Well, good luck in that pursuit, and good luck in the second half.
100%. Thanks.
Julian Hausman joining us down on the field for Seattle Sockeye. The opening pool, the second half. When we come back, Sockeye will have the disc when the second half begins as we wrap up the weekend in Rhode Island. You can see a lot of the big names from both teams on the screen. Couple goals, couple assists for Goose Helton. But really everyone has made plays for Chicago. That catch from Shea really helped to set the tone. If he doesn't make that play, maybe Seattle holds on that opening score. It's 1-1 instead of 2-0, and the entire first half unfolds differently.
Chicago has executed at a higher level, making the most of the opportunities that have been available to them, and we're still seeing a bigger impact from some of their big name players like Goose Helton and A.J. Nelson.
Big pull from Carpenter, received by Murray. Here's Montague. Poach D.
I was wondering how long it would take before Von Allen-Gielan made his mark on this game, but a very heads-up play.
Oh, and Travis Carpenter bidding for the score and the emphatic spike. These guys are having so much fun. Too much fun, really.
Emphatic start to the half for the Chicago Machine defense. Allen-Gielan using his speed and IQ to peel off into the lane and knock the disc before Rader's able to make a play on it. And then we're going to see Travis Carpenter attack that upline space. Full extension layout. Good thing he's got those gloves on. Hang on to that disc as he survives the ground contact.
Neil Phelps almost put it too far, but not quite. Carpenter the score. Phelps, who had a game-clinching Callahan to beat Florida United here on Friday, picks up the assist to make it 9-5. You know, sometimes we see it in all divisions. One team just has it going on a particular weekend, and the chemistry that Chicago has found, it's reminiscent of the Pro Flight finale a couple years ago.
I think the smaller roster has done a lot to bring this team together, give players opportunities to step up and take responsibilities on the field that they might not have if their full squad is here.
I was still broadcasting minor league baseball a couple years ago during the Pro Flight finale, and I had an afternoon game wrapped up around 4 o'clock. Pro Flight finale going on the West Coast. Watched the entire Machine Ironside Pro Flight finale. I believe Ultiworld had the coverage, and that game by Machine, they just were clicking, and it's a similar sight to what you're seeing today. Mario O'Brien. And we said it before, when Seattle has scored, they've scored easily. But this might come back.
Is Kevin Kelly calling an offensive foul on O'Brien? Let's listen in.
Just coming back, Mario O'Brien, Kevin Kelly on the mark of the Machine.
O'Brien picks up the assist anyway. Nice footwork from Sam Harkness on the goal line. The Sockeye vet in his 8th season out of North Seattle College. He previously played for Voodoo and Shazam. Harkness with a score to make it 9-6.
That front of the stack position, one of the most challenging positions for any defender to completely shut down. So many different possibilities, whether you're in the red zone or the middle of the field. You could peel and go deep off the break side. If you're in the red zone, there are lots of horizontal options to both sides, assuming you have a competent thrower that can break the mark. A lot of responsibility for that front of the stack defender.
O'Brien, the veteran, originally from Wisconsin. He played collegiately with Jake Henderson, the Dragon Thrust coach and USA mixed national team coach, Wisconsin Eau Claire. And Mario spent a lot of time coaching all around the world, including down in Colombia. He was asked to be a part of the Colombian national team and was actually playing against the United States. A treasonous act by Mario in the quarterfinals in London in the pouring rain on Thursday, the 23rd of June in London. Colombian men falling to the USA in the quarters as Giannis looks deep. Dillon and Helton, USA teammates, and it's Dillon, the 2016 Callahan winner, who knocks it away. And Helton exasperated, but also appreciative of the effort of his opponents.
And I think when Giannis released this, Dillon and Helton were even. Dillon's no slouch of a defender, so not a sure thing when you're throwing to a 50-50 matchup. Great job by Dillon to get the block.
We were talking yesterday about what Trent Dillon is going to bring to Seattle Sockeye. That's an unfortunate turnover near the goal line. Koss and Lynn unable to connect. So Matsuka will have it on the line. Scuber, score. 10-6 after the Nelson catch.
So after that unfortunate turnover in the end zone, miscommunication, or perhaps a doink by Duncan Lynn, Sockeye now 0 for 3 on break opportunities this game.
Mentioned the Colombian men falling to the USA in the quarters. The Colombian women were incredibly impressive, going all the way to the finals with their teenagers, the Cardenas sisters. They'll be heard from in years to come. So Nelson with a catch from Matsuka, 10-6 machine. Sockeye sending the offense back on the field, and it is our pleasure to welcome a very special guest onto the broadcast, the Ultimate Foundation Board of Directors and CEO of USA Ultimate, Tom Crawford, back in his home state of Rhode Island.
Back in my home state, loving it, thank you.
What has been the story of the US Open 2016 from your perspective?
One, I think we had some fantastic Rhode Island weather, great hosts here at URI. And I think when you combine the quality of this field for a final venue, it's as nice as anything we've ever seen. So I think it's been a great semis and final day, some great games, wonderful weather, and people have had a great amount of fun. So.
And Seattle and Chicago battling in a championship game. At one point today, it looked like we might have 3 champions from Seattle, and instead we might have 3 Seattle silver medalists.
Correct, yeah, and a couple of Boston teams.
Boston winning already in the mixed and the women's divisions. Chicago Machine, though, eliminated the possibility of a Beantown trifecta. And that would have been a tough catch. Raider could not make it. Sockeye turns it over. Tell us a little bit about the Ultimate Foundation. No, it's a new endeavor from USA Ultimate. When and why was it founded? What's the primary goals?
Yeah, thanks, Evan. So the foundation was founded so that we could start to raise some funds to do things that we can't do with our general operating budget. And we realized there's so many more things that we'd like to be doing. So like many of the other national governing bodies, we put the foundation in place, and we're really just now getting going on starting to raise some funds. We have already been able to fund some really cool programs. Our primary focus is GUM, so the Girls Ultimate Movement, and also Play It Forward, which is a program where we fund disadvantaged kids so they have an opportunity to play where otherwise they might not be able to. And then we have a couple of other targets as well, but those have been the ones that we've been targeting in the first couple of years. So very excited about the foundation. Think it can add a lot to what we're able to do as a sport in the United States.
Tom, a lot of success for USA Ultimate already this year. We've seen the USA contingent and delegation come home off an undefeated performance in London. What are you looking forward to from a competition perspective as we look over the rest of 2016?
Hoping that our juniors do just as well when they go off to Poland. That would be a great outcome. Thrilled with the teams that went to London. They made us so proud. They played so well. Really highly spirited, great teams, super talented. It was our first sort of experiment in 3 of the divisions anyway, with actually putting select teams together and training camps, and we think that went really well. We think that's definitely, you know, the model going forward now. And while we did extremely well, the rest of the world is right there. They are right on our tail. They're going to catch us, and we got to continue to get better and better and stay sharp. And so I'm looking forward to the next World Championships, but also the rest of the Triple Crown Tour. I think we're going to have a great season this season.
Is it true that you got 5 gold medals for yourself, 1 for every team that won?
That is not true.
Not true. Okay, I heard a rumor.
No, that is not true. I would never want a medal because I don't earn them. I just love watching the athletes earn them.
I could picture you like Michael Phelps on the cover of the magazine with all the medals across your chest. Deep shot here, incomplete. Certainly contact, but it doesn't look like there's a call between Matsuka and Lin. You get to watch a lot of Ultimate.
I do.
And I know, like, all the players are like your kids, but are there any players that stand out to you for a particular reason that you really like to watch?
I'll tell you one, that guy right there, I love to watch.
Matsuka?
I love to watch him play. Yeah, he is so, what he can do with a disc sometimes just, actually you mentioned we're here in my home state of Rhode Island, so my whole family has come out and watched.
Well, and he sneaks it through to Giannis, and he got the feet on the line, but not in. Matsuka unable to shimmy free from Lin, but Geppert squeezes into the space and scores to make it 11-7. That's Spielman, rather, for the goal for Machine. See a lot of family here in Rhode Island watching Matsuka.
Absolutely, they're actually. I'm watching them right now, leaning over there, right on the edge where the score just took place. So they're having a blast.
So we saw Sockeye leading 11-7 yesterday against Revolver. Obviously, that game went to the distance. We had 3 Universe Point games yesterday. We welcomed Tom Crawford into the booth, and talking about the rest of 2016, much to look forward to. A change in the location for Nationals, heading to Rockford, Illinois, outside of Chicago this year. What went into that decision?
Well, as you know, our goal was to try to move Nationals around a little bit so that we can give people in different parts of the country an opportunity to drive out in new markets and actually see the championship. So we're excited about going there, and we think that it's a great location. It's kind of a hotbed all around there. There's a lot of people that will be able to drive in to see it, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And I think the players and members can expect to see a change in location and timing, perhaps for next year's U.S. Open as well?
Perhaps.
To be seen. No one is confirming this, but we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about an update on the Olympic movement. I know you attend meetings all the time. You have a lengthy history working for both the U.S. Olympic Committee and all different other committees in the world of sports around the world. What's the latest that we should know about the process?
Yeah, so we're staying optimistic. We just had the World Congress over in London, and we had a lot of discussions about 2024 and trying to stay positioned as well as we possibly can to have a legitimate shot of getting on the program. With the 2020 reform movement in the Olympic Games, we check off a lot of those boxes, and that's a good thing. So we're still pursuing it, and that's definitely our goal.
4th straight point, including a turnover for Sockeye here, and Chicago has a chance to really twist the knife and go up by 5 if they can convert here defensively. What are the things that need to go right for the sport from your perspective? You say if everything goes right, we're in really good shape. What needs to go right?
Well, I think the IOC keeps coming to our World Championships and watching, and as long as they see one of the value adds that they really like is the self-officiating and spirit of the game aspect, because they think it's a real differentiator. So as long as they continue to see that working and us being very entertaining, which we certainly are, and we've proven we can be on TV, I think that's one factor. It would be great to see LA win the bid, I can tell you that, because you know, being one, we just want LA to win because we want to bring the Olympics back to the U.S., but we also have some relationships out there that we can sort of take advantage of to give us a good shot.
I saw you briefly over in London at World Ultimate and Guts Championships as Chicago takes time out. Although you had to get back to this country for meetings, and you beat the rain back home, I understand.
Well, I did beat the rain, but not completely. So my ride back to the airport was like really scary. I was with a taxi driver who was a riot, and it was raining so hard that you couldn't see a car and a half length in front of you. I mean, you just couldn't see. That's how hard it was raining. So I know what you guys had to live through staying there for the rest of that week. I was lucky to sneak out in the nick of time.
It was an eventful week in London for several different reasons.
Yeah, weather being one of them. I was feeling a little bit for Cy Hill, who's a good friend that was running the event, and I knew, because of our college experience, which you guys had with us, what it's like when the weather gets in the way a little bit.
Last thing, Tom, and then we'll let you go. WIFDF, the World Ultimate, the World Flying Disc Federation, the international governing body for the sport of ultimate, USA Ultimate, obviously work in conjunction, but there are some key differences. Is one of the goals going forward to try to mesh with WIFDF more from a USAU perspective?
Absolutely, yeah, and we had a lot of discussions about that. That's in a couple of ways, making sure that we're aligned with our rules and how we play the game. The officiating system, we love our observer system. They like their game advisors. We're continuing to talk with them about that. And then also getting aligned on scheduling, because it's going to be harder and harder to have meaningful regular seasons scheduled if we're always in conflict with sort of the international events that they throw on the calendar. They have agreed to work really closely with us on that. They recognize that this year it actually created some real challenges, and they were apologetic about that and recognize that that is a tough thing that we want to fix going forward.
Out of the timeout, Chicago looking up line to Nelson, but Murray came up with a clutch D to give Seattle a chance here back on offense. It was very similar to the play that Chicago ran to wrap up the game against Ironside yesterday, Ian.
That one worked for Walden Nelson, but Phil Murray doing his best to deny this opportunity.
Rankin breaking free in the back of the end zone. Seattle is within 3. And Tom Crawford, we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of the weekend here in Rhode Island, but appreciate you joining us, and looking forward to the rest of the Triple Crown Tour.
Same here, and thank you guys for having me, and thanks for doing such a great job with this. It's an absolute pleasure to watch and listen to you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It is our honor to be here, especially when we get one universe point game after another like we did yesterday. Here's the turnover as Murray, the pesky defender, against Nelson. And then downfield, Rankin found the space in the back of the end zone.
You see Rader and Murray working the disc up the field with that give and go. That kind of speed and pace is something that they foster by playing a lot of mini and Goaltimate together in the Seattle community.
So basically, Seattle's in a position here where they're going to have to score 7 of the next 10 points to win this game. Can they do it?
They got to find a way to make Brett Matsuka and Goose Helton uncomfortable and give them the disc, because for the most part, the Chicago offense has been relatively wise and hasn't taken unnecessary risks. And here we see something we hadn't seen yet earlier in the game. You think the centering pass is going to go to Matsuka, and then he just
is
takes
wide
off.
open. No one's within 30 yards of him. Now Koss and Lynn both trying to recover, and that allows the open man underneath. Geppert going deep, and he can't come down with it.
Good pressure by Lynn, recovering after the confusion.
Yikes, Russell almost threw it into the ground, but had enough air under it to get to Lynn. Dillon's taken off. Koss unwinds. That disc knuckled at the last moment. Trent Dillon apparently kept it alive on the second effort. Watching it live, I was not sure whether this disc hit the ground first.
To be fair, he did make things a little harder on himself than necessary.
Oh, yeah.
Doinking that first one, but phenomenal second effort. After he can't quite make the pancake work, makes that trailing edge grab with the right hand, survives the ground contact, and a very poised move on his part to call timeout.
Right, you're downfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're downfield. You two are taking off deep right away. He's going to cross. Yeah.
Hey, downfielders, be really vocal about coaches.
Hey, the big side is whatever's breaking.
Offense,
if they're
20
trapped,
side.
I want A up line.
Yeah. Hey. Fish on 2. 1, 2.
Fish.
Go. Offense.
Trent Dillon's father's been playing Ultimate for about 35 years now, so Trent grew up around the sport. Started playing in the Philadelphia area when he was 8 years old. He gradually started playing pickup, played 5 years of high school Ultimate. Trey Kotzenbach, who's a legend in the Philadelphia Ultimate community, used to babysit Trent Dillon when he was a kid.
Anytime, defense.
Harkness. Koss. Harkness can't handle it.
Quite ready?
Still plenty of time, about 17 minutes until the soft cap. There is no hard cap in the semis or the finals.
Coming on one.
If you made a list of the top squirreliest players in the sport, Lim and Matsuka both might be on that list. Matched up against each other now. Helton scoobers cross field, and Carnegie did just enough with the face guard. That might be pass interference in the NFL, as he was not looking back at the ball. And Sockeye a little too overly ambitious. Not able to execute on the deep look to Harkness. And Geppert drops it. Now 5 turnovers on this point. That's a high for the game.
Whoa, 28. You're right. Come here. Yep. This is exactly right. He's exactly right.
Mitch Dangler ensuring justice down in the field, observing his 601st game of Ultimate in his observing career. Game number 600 was this morning in the mixed division. Carnegie bids and can't come up with it. There was certainly some contact in the end zone both ways.
Carnegie going end zone to make some plays.
If it stands as a turn, it's the 6th of the point.
And you can see the wind. Doing some crazy things to this disc. So we see him go down. Oh, and the right elbow, right shoulder bearing the brunt of that impact as you see Hussein Carnegie roll up and touch his right shoulder. There's some strong contact with the ground.
No call on the play. It will be Machine's disc. Chicago Machine, founded back in 2001. More than half of the roster has won an all-region award during their college career. You can say that about a lot of the top-level rosters, of course, at the club level. Machine has been to the National Club Championships 10 consecutive years. Travel was called way back there.
Travel back here. Nice. Very fancy. I'm just going to do the normal hand you the pass.
Brett Matsuka was very excited when he got that France gear.
Kind of surprised that that travel call was upheld. It didn't look like Helton dragged his pivot foot.
Possibly he set it in the wrong place, maybe.
Or perhaps this was, oh, the travel call was not on Helton. It was on Lou, who threw the disc to Helton.
Yeah, we're observer ruling. We're going to bring it back, okay? When you caught it, I looked down here to your receivers. I didn't see if you had to travel or not. So we're going to bring it back.
So Matsuka swings to Lou.
Right? Okay. So we'll come in on one. All right, Bob. Wait.
Not seeing the travel there. You know,
there was a travel call.
I think if you're being really strict, you could say that Lou moved that pivot foot a centimeter.
But I'm going to let you and your teammates figure out wherever you guys want me.
Don't necessarily gain an advantage.
They called the travel.
Okay. I was watching. He did not travel.
Okay.
Yes.
That's Jonathan Monforti telling Hank Carey that he was watching Lou closely, didn't see any travel.
Not the most consequential of calls, so the disagreement not all that important. Upside down, floating magically to Giannis. And there goes Nelson sneaking through that small lane. Chicago within 3 of a title.
Incredible over-the-top throw from Brett Matsuka. He catches this under. That rides the wind perfectly. A lot to deal with the crosswind there. Right on the money, hitting Giannis essentially in stride. I don't think anybody is going to question that Brett Matsuka has been the best thrower at the US Open this weekend. We hear Brett Matsuka.
That was the same point, wasn't it? Yeah, that was real early in the point. Just a long time before their timeout.
On one sideline, you have 100% positivity.
The one where I was deep and I was like, just throw it. You're like, I don't have it.
Oh, no, I don't have that throw.
You have that hammer. Believe in yourself.
And on the other sideline, you have this.
Small I am? You got it. After 4 floaty upside down throws to turnovers.
Travis Carpenter on the pull for machine.
They're keeping it loose. No doubt about it.
Probably a little bit easier to make fun of your teammate when you're up by 4 as opposed to when you're down by 4. O'Brien, Murray, Montague with Rader, Rankin, Caldwell, and Clark downfield. You know, one thing of note, Ian, is Alan Gilon almost gets another spectacular layout D. Chicago Machine came from 4th place in their pool at Nationals last year to the semifinals as O'Brien hits Clark. That will not be possible in 2016. They have changed the format for Club Nationals. Only the top 3 in your pool make it to the bracket. So if you win your pool, much like college nationals, you advance to the quarters. You finish 2nd or 3rd, you're in the championship bracket, needing to play a pre-quarter. Each of the past couple of years, we've seen teams come from that last place spot. 2 years ago, it was Ring, upending Machine, going all the way to the semifinals, where they had that classic Universe Point finish against Boston. Ironside eventually prevailing before falling to Johnny Bravo in the finals. And last year, Johnny Bravo trying to defend their title, upended by a Machine team that prevented them from making to the quarters. 1 year later, Bravo's in the quarters, Machine's on the sidelines. 1 year later, if the format had been changed, Bravo would have been in the quarters, Machine would have been on the sidelines. 12-9.
Hey, let's go fast.
You like the format change?
I do. I think it rewards teams who take care of business and go through the challenge of winning their pool at Nationals. I think it's a sensible move.
U.S. Open of 2016 winding down here in Kingston, Rhode Island. Chicago 3 points away from a title in the men's division. Evan Lepler and Ian Toner on the campus of URI all weekend long. The games began at 9:30 a.m. on Friday morning. It's kind of a shame the holiday weekend has to end. Another big club tournament in Columbus, Ohio. Next week, if you're there, go cheer on Ian Toner on the sidelines.
We're going to have a shorthanded roster, so we'll need all the support we can get.
I don't believe that was in bounds. It's a heck of an effort
by both Spielman.
It was really close. I think his toe was on the line. Would be worth another look, perhaps, after the result of this live play.
Great effort from D.Y. Chen to close that down as well and at least attempt to make a play on it. And here's Spielman. That left toe is clearly on the line. Great effort.
Bob Liu fires to the end zone, and Machine can taste it. You can feel the fatigue setting in for both teams, although the Chicago sidelines not letting up. Liu with the assist.
Liu, an equally crafty thrower in his own right. An offhand backhand, something he's been throwing all weekend due to the injury to his right wrist.
At Chicago 13.
Have I told you my crazy idea for a possible change to the Nationals format? It's so absurd I shouldn't bring it up, but why not? We got a minute. Take me through it. You seed teams 1 to 16. And then you go straight into bracket play. 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, etc. Each matchup is a best out of 3. So on Thursday, you play at 9 a.m., you play at 1 p.m., and then if it's split 1-1, you play at 5 o'clock. Imagine the intensity of that 5 o'clock game when, like a playoff series in the NBA or the NHL, you've had time to really get annoyed by your opponents. You've had time to make adjustments after a morning loss, battling for your lives. This format may not work for semis and/or finals. It may not be great to help determine consolation for pro flight, but in the pursuit of a champion, this is the Lepler idea. I'm sure the Twitterverse is going berserk right now, calling me all sorts of names. It's a little out there, as Raider sends it a little out there. And Rankin makes the catch. And everybody else on the field had stopped, so it will be a pick. What do you think?
So do we have a stall?
My gut reaction was the same.
Looks like we're good downfield. And on 1.
Counterpoint that you had brought up. Perhaps it's not the best solution for the semifinal and final rounds. Because at that point, if all series require 3 games, you could end up at the champion needing to play 12 games.
Maybe the finals is just a game to 21 instead of a single game instead of a best of 3. As Raider runs it down to get Seattle into double digits. I just think the primary complaint about Club Nationals from a format perspective has been that Thursday is not nearly as significant as it needs to be. And even with the current format, if a team starts off 2-0 and they have their pool clinched, there could be a game that gets thrown, a game that this removes that possibility, except for the fact maybe a team wins their first game, they fall behind 5-1 in the second, then they have the decision to make. Do we go all out, try to come back here, or do we try to regroup for game 3? That could be an issue. But, if you're throwing a game that close to elimination time at Club Nationals, I'm not sure that's the wisest strategy to win it all. It puts some premium on seeding, obviously.
Right.
But the reality is, if you want to win a title, you got to beat anybody.
Right.
So that's the luck of the draw that happens in the NBA playoffs every year as well. Golden State hasn't had to go through San Antonio either of the last 2 years in the Western Conference. And perhaps once you're eliminated, you go into some sort of a fancy pro flight single elimination qualifier. I'm not a tournament director. I wouldn't know how to organize that. But just an idea to add to the dialogue.
Well, perhaps in our next broadcast, we'll have to get Will Deaver up here as well.
Oh, Raider over the top, and he got the disc before the body of Nelson. Foul called in the backfield. There was a time, of course, when Nationals used to be games to 21, pool play games to 17, semis to 19.
Contest or no?
I thought I stepped in front with the body.
I'm okay with the foul call here. Everybody happy? Okay.
Mitt, was it before the throw?
They're happy.
He's not happy. Okay. Was it before the throw? It's coming back. It's coming back.
What? All right.
This would be a break for Sockeye. If they could complete passes and sustain possession.
One of the few mistakes we've seen from Justin Lim so far this weekend.
Phil Murray. Looking at Chen. Got him. Sockeye within 2.
Matsuka sizing up that inside lane, and Bucksbaum just kind of plants his feet into the ground. He knows that thing's coming in hot. Hard for him to attack it, and Phil Murray jumps the lane, definitely aided by the fact that Bucksbaum didn't quite attack the disc. And Sockeye doing their best to make a late charge here. They're down 13-11, and the soft cap horn did just sound, Evan.
Went off after that point was scored, correct?
Correct.
So it will go on after this next point, and we'll deal with that paperwork then. D.Y. Chen makes Sockeye for the 2nd straight year. He's just 22 out of the University of Washington, and I'm going to be interested to watch D.Y. Chen develop. You can name all of the great handler defenders pretty quickly. You know, it's not a huge club of guys who are thought of as the greatest handler defenders in the sport. I think Chen could enter that category pretty fast.
He's still young. He's got a ways to go. I think the people in that conversation today, someone like a Russell Wynn, a Byron Liu, a Walden Nelson. Ryan Farrell has just retired. Probably Sam Canner as well on revolver.
And Dylan Freechild is thought of as, you know, an offensive player, but in the pro game he's played a lot of defense and really wreaked havoc on handlers. Not to say he hasn't made some defensive plays in college and club too. Helton lets it fly. Nelson makes the grab. Marked by Carnegie. Giannis back to Nelson. And Carnegie staring at Russell, wondering what the mark was supposed to be. So Chicago could win the game with 1 score here. Soft cap will only become a factor if Seattle can run off 3 straight.
I don't know. I can understand that Carnegie's frustrated because of the circumstances of the game, but I didn't see him set up a backhand mark there. His mark on Nelson looked to be a little flat, maybe even shading flick, and then I just don't understand the frustration getting beat to that force side. Don't know that Russell was at fault there.
A.J. Nelson's had a real solid weekend. 5 goals in the finals. Relentless energy.
We get a look at the back of Pavlianis's hat there. Says a lot about him as a player. It reads, secondary player with potential. He's the kind of guy who always plays with a chip on his shoulder. He always has something to prove. So we see this deep shot go up here from O'Brien.
Russell and Carpenter in the area. Raider trailing, and it's Russell, I'll make it Rankin, who comes down with it. Rankin was all alone, and he had 5 guys with him. He still made the play. And Seattle will force Chicago to win it on offense.
This deep shot from O'Brien, definitely hanging more than he had liked. Great read by Rankin. Number of big receivers in the area. Kevin Kelly, Matt Rader. He comes down with it, and then Simon Montague just gives and goes in the red zone. Finishes to Lim.
So on defense, Sockeye will need to run off a bunch of breaks in a row. There's Russell and Chen, the captain, Reed Koss. Harkness, Lynn, couple Sockeye vets. And on the other side, familiar faces, Geppert, Bucksbaum, Matsuka. Bob Lewis played through the hand injury throughout the weekend. Pavel Yanis in his first tournament as a member of Machine. AJ Nelson. And of course, the 7th on the line, Jonathan Goose Helton. And a timeout called by Seattle. The point hasn't started yet, so technically the lines could change.
Roger Crafts with a bit of gamesmanship there, waiting as long as he possibly could to call that timeout. Taking some cues from one of his coaching idols, Bill Belichick, of course.
Hey, Mike, I need you giving Hucker calls when Goose has it. Let's go. Okay? Hey, here we go. Let's do it. Hey, just noodle it.
It's possible. We've got only 1 point left in the U.S. Open. There are lots of other club teams that will be a factor in the men's division this year. Some of the big names that aren't here in Rhode Island. DC Truck Stop, Denver Johnny Bravo, Minneapolis Sub-Zero. Kansas City Prairie Fire has been a regular at Nationals. Toronto Goat as well. Probably others I'm forgetting. Who comes to mind as the most dangerous team that wasn't in Rhode Island this weekend, in your opinion? And
well, not to give too much fuel to my fellow competitors.
The disclosure is that you are a member of Johnny Bravo.
I think the other teams that come to mind, definitely DC Truck Stop. They've been building for years. They were 1 point away from knocking off Revolver at last year's club championships. I think Toronto Goat has continued to build a great system. And I also think Austin Double Wide is another team not to be overlooked. A lot of athletes that, some of whom are gaining reps together earlier in the season in some of the semi-professional leagues as well.
Chicago on offense, looking to close out its first ever U.S. Open title. Nelson can't come up with it on the first effort.
And I wonder, we can be armchair quarterbacks and guess all we want. I wonder if Nelson hadn't tried to high point that right away and had run the disc out just a bit further and run out the huck, if he would have had a better chance at making the grab. Nice scooper from Phil Murray there.
Koss back to Lynn. Miscommunication between Lynn and Rader. Rader was getting ready to clear. Bucksbaum knocks it down. Another chance for Chicago. Looking for Bucksbaum. No.
And a bit of confusion here after that disc bladed past Bucksbaum. Sockeye started moving the disc up the field, and Matt Russell actually made the timeout motion.
You went like this.
And then tried to continue throwing a swing pass. So
Sorry, you're going to be close to 10 or you're going to tap us in live.
Sockeye actually did not have any timeouts left. So we see this timeout motion, but they don't have any left. That's going to be a turnover, and Machine's going to have the disc.
Why would he make that motion if he wasn't trying to call a timeout? Is my question. Matsuka to Lou, and that will end it. Chicago Machine has won the U.S. Open. I've never seen Bob Lou go that crazy. Settle down, Bob.
Next thing you know, he's going to be putting his headphones in.
Great game, guys. Thanks a lot. Stick around, everybody.
If that's a signal for a play, Sockeye has to make a change. And Machine able to capitalize. What a wacky way for this phenomenal weekend to end. How about Chicago Machine avenging a pool play loss to Sockeye with a 15-12 win in the finals? They beat Ironside and Sockeye by the same score on back-to-back days.
Not a result many would have expected coming into the weekend, especially if they were familiar with the small size of Machine's roster. As you see Bob Lou sporting his sister Megan Lou's jersey, hailing from San Francisco Fury this weekend.
Let's go into the post-game spirit circle between Machine and Sockeye.
Yeah, Machine, first of all, great game. You guys earned it. It's a great win. It's really fun to play with you guys, play against you guys. You guys had awesome energy today. It was different than the other day, so congratulations on that. Again, in terms of the spirit, like I think the stuff that we have conversations about is the right stuff to have conversations about. We're all making bids that we want to go for, and sometimes you got to talk about that stuff. And we both played hard, and we're both going to make those same bids. So, great game, and looking forward to see you guys later this season. All right.
Sockeye was great playing you guys again. It was a different pace, it was a different energy, it was a different feel. And then physically, like, you know, the stakes were a little bit higher, and you guys brought a really challenging game for us. That first half was not easy, and it was something we really enjoyed. You guys were just as physical as we were. You were challenging us, we were challenging you. You guys dunked on us a couple of times and really challenged us to make good throws deep. Thank you very much. We look forward to playing you again. This was a ton of fun. You know, we were 2 years or something without playing each other. Yeah. 2 times without playing us. This is great. This is great. We want more of this.
Oh, yeah.
I want to nominate Trent Dillen's redonkulous oopsies grab.
Yeah, let's give it up for Trent!
Even after a big win, two teams can be goofy with one another. Trent Dillon with some sarcastic applause. It was a great play, though. 15-12, Chicago, the champs. We'll be back. The 2016 U.S. Open Ultimate Championships are presented by Discraft Ultrastar, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Discraft Ultrastar is now available at over 1,900 U.S. retail locations, including all Dick's Sporting Goods and Hibbett Sports stores. By Discover Newport. Choose your own adventure in Newport, Rhode Island. Get the inside scoop on where to stay and where to play at discovernewport.org. and by USA Ultimate, the national governing body for the sport of Ultimate in the United States. For more information or to find out where to play Ultimate in your area, visit usaultimate.org. Chicago Machine over Seattle Sockeye, 15-12, as Machine takes down Boston and Seattle on consecutive days to win the U.S. Open. And we're joined by Jonathan Goose Helton down on the field. Goose, you've had a whirlwind journey. What are you going to do with your multiple gold medals when you get home?
Hang them up on the wall and then probably move them whenever I move some.
I know you went over to London early with Team USA for some clinics. I'm not sure exactly where your home is right now, but when was the last time you were, quote, home?
It's been about a month.
You head home tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I'll head to DC tonight and then hopefully Ocean City later tonight or tomorrow, depending on travel time.
Goose, some more challenging conditions today than we saw in the semifinal, but you just kind of seem to raise your game to the occasion. Can you talk about what it felt out there, kind of like dealing with that wind and also working together with your teammates in those challenging conditions?
Sure. We knew that it was going to be a little bit of a sloppy day. Playing in a stadium when it's already windy can make the disc a little unpredictable when it's in the air, and we certainly saw that coming. So our whole strategy was just to bring all the energy we could. We knew that Sockeye would help us do that because they're such an energetic team, and we can feed off of that as well.
Goose, I know you've been moving around. There's been a lot of public speculation about where you, Brett, and Bob would play Club Ultimate the 2016 season. At what point was the decision made that you'd be back with the Machine, and how's that decision look right now?
I think we probably made it about 5 weeks ago at the end of everyone's tryouts. And so far it looks great. We came in with no expectations for this tournament. It's so early in the season. Neither Brett nor Bob or myself have had any reps with the team. We've got a lot of new guys, but man, we've gotten more athletic. That's been one of our themes. We've gotten taller, faster, a little less skilled. So we're going to work on that in practice.
So do you think that bit about not having any expectations kind of relieved pressure or made it easier for your team to come together throughout the weekend?
Definitely, yeah. When you're not afraid to lose because you don't expect to win necessarily, you just play your heart out and play for your teammates.
You got a bunch of teammates that love you doing some crazy actions behind you. We'll let you go join them. Congratulations. Good seeing you as always, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks, guys.
Jonathan Goose Helton, 15-12 the win. Our Discraft play of the game from Brett Matsuka. This hammer, almost the length of the field to Pavel Yanis, could quickly pay it off with a goal to Nelson.
I don't think anyone would argue that Brett Matsuka was the best thrower in the men's division or perhaps the entire tournament this weekend. This pinpoint hammer going the length of the field, hitting Giannis in stride despite the challenging wind conditions. Not many other throwers that can come close to completing a pass like that.
Matsuka to Giannis. Two nice additions over the past couple of years to Chicago Machine as they win the title 15-12 over Seattle. One more final look at the bracket in the men's division. I think all four of these teams will be heard from as the season progresses. Revolver and Ironside, the semifinal losers, with a lot to work on. But this was Machine's weekend here in Rhode Island, and that's a wrap for the 2016 U.S. Open. For Ian Toner, I'm Evan Lepler saying so long from Meade Stadium in Kingston, Rhode Island. 15-12, Machine takes it. It was Boston Slow White, Boston Brute Squad, and Chicago Machine prevailing in the 2016 Open. To watch all of the games on replay, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. We thank you for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN. First leg of the Triple Crown Tour in the books. We'll see you again in Rockford this fall.